Well, everybody out there, it's the Rec Room with Brian Rector, and today it's episode 48, if you can believe that. Today we have Arizona State standout track athlete, the sophomore Taylor Brown,
Hi.
all the way from Dallas, Texas. And Taylor, I know for you, in just a short time that you've been here, have a couple or one school record to this point, and have made waves to where people are, like, I would say, praising you. I would say like we have this persona around you where it's like you will definitely be one of the legacy Sun Devils, providing we stay healthy and
Yeah.
everything goes according to plan, right? The next 2 years. So like, how do you think about that? Like, do you think about your legacy very often? Like, what is kind of your perspective around what you've done so far?
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, just the introduction.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a crazy ride here at Arizona State. Like, I came in as a true freshman, new state, so obviously it was different from Texas. New coaches, new people, just trying to get used to like the way things are in college. And man, every time I step on that track, like I'm just thinking like I have to put my heart out there. And I ended up breaking the record. I didn't even know it. My coach told me after, and I was like, okay, that's great. But like I take that into account and I keep that in the back of my mind, like, okay, I have this under my belt and I have to keep striving for it. Like I have to keep going for it. And honestly, it's just something that motivates me to come to practice and work 10 times harder every other day. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like when I consider, as somebody who's never come close to breaking any record in my life, I think about how many things that exist, like conditions, that both you can control with how you train and how you prepare, but then on the other side, like what you can't control. So with those things, the ones that you can't control, what's your relationship to those? Like, do you just kind of try and forget about them? Do you try and not factor them in? Have they stressed you out before? Like, what do you think about that narrative of like you can control certain things and also you can't control some things?
That's a great question because one thing I always tell people that I love about track is like you go into each race having an idea of how it's going to go, but you never know. Like, I've seen so many people, especially hurdles, for example, like you never know if you're going to hit the hurdle. You never know if your competitor's feeling good or bad that day. Your competitor doesn't know if you're feeling good or bad that day. So I go into the race knowing that, okay, everyone's feeling the same. We're all nervous. And there are, granted, some things that I'm not going to be able to control, and there's some things that I can. But I focus on what I can control. The fact of putting my heart out there, getting out, trying hard, trusting my training, and even it comes down to training at practice so that I can be prepared for the meet. And I know those are all things I can control. I can control how my mental health is and how I journal at night, what I do to prepare for each race. So I know those things would eventually set up for the things that I can't control. So.
Yeah, certainly. And like, so much of being a high-level collegiate athlete, and really any level, but being a high-level athlete, is the different types of preparation, the mental, the physical, in your case, some spiritual, I'd imagine, with leaning on your faith. Like, what have you been able to get a sense of how much it takes from each of those in order to be successful? Like, do you need to give 100% in each bucket before you go out and run? Or can it be, I can have an off day and still outperform some folks?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance to it. I think knowing that not every day is going to be your best is important. Just so when you do have a bad day, like, you're not going to be down in the dumps about it. And of course, I've had terrible races before, and I've just been like, oh my gosh, like, this sucks. But I have to know that there are better days, and like, each day is new. Every day is fresh. Like, I had a bad meet, but imagine how many meets I have for the next 2-3 years that I'm going to be here.
Right.
So, and my coaches remind me of that too. Like, just know that this isn't it. I'm still young, still have the ability to go on and try new different things. So I think that's important to realize when I do have my bad days.
What is the culture? Because I'd imagine it's not easy to move states and then be somewhere that you're not used to. Like, what has the culture of the team been like, and how has that helped cultivate some of the successes that you have had early on?
Yeah, definitely, like, coming from Texas to here, because I was really close with my team back in Texas. Like, I'd been on that team since I started track to when I graduated and got recruited out of high school. So I had a really close relationship with them coming from high school. So I think getting here was a bit of a transition for me, just because you don't have those people that you've been around for 5 years. Obviously, you're not going to in like a brand new state, a brand new track. But I think I've just had to get to know my people, like come in here and get to know the people that are motivated, get to know the people that have goals, the Olympic dreams of being in LA. They want to go to nationals. They want to try hard at practice. And I think I've found that culture here at some point. Like I found multiple people who are willing to try hard and who are willing to be there for their team. And that was a good adjustment for me, just being able to find those people who were there for me as well.
You mentioned to me before we started this podcast how long you've been running.
Yeah.
Right, been running since 10, I think you said. Like, when you think about how many years you've been in the sport, and take me back to the beginning, like when you were starting, what appealed to you about the sport? What stood out? What made you think this is something I could do for a long time?
Man, I've always been a competitor. Like even when I was young, and if we're playing bingo, like I want to win. And I think track was one of those sports to me where it's like so individualized, but yet you still have the 4x4 and stuff. So it can be a team sport. But in those moments, you really have to do it for yourself. Even when you're on the relay, you have to do it for yourself so that you can show up for your team. And I think that's what stood out to me about this sport, even being young, because I was like, okay, like when you're on the track, it's just you and nobody else. Like you do have your competitors, but at the end of the day, you're racing so that you can run a better time. Because even getting a personal record is a huge deal. So I think what stood out to me is like the fact of getting better. I knew I was young when I started it, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at this, so I want to see how far I could go. And the competitive edge, being at the races, and like your family and the stands are packed, and it's hot. We're in Texas, it's like 100 degrees,
That's
but
right.
We're all there together, and I think I like the togetherness of it and just being there to race with my friends. So that was pretty cool.
Have you ever hit a plateau in your career? A season where you felt like you weren't improving and you felt like you were kind of stagnant? And maybe like, what did that do for you? Did that bring concern? Did that bring a motivation extra? Like, tell me about that.
Even to this day, like sometimes I still feel like I can hit a plateau. I think the first time it kind of happened for me is when I was getting recruited, which sucked because I had to get recruited. But I think about this a lot because this is kind of like my story of how I got to college. And I was running the 4 and I was doing okay in it. Like I was running 55s. Like there was a moment I was dropping from like 59, 58, 56, and I kind of like hit a plateau around like 55, 54. And I was just like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. I have to get recruited. Like, what can I do? And that's when I kind of ended up picking up the 800. And I thank God for this every day because like the few times I ran it, I went to Junior Olympics in it, and I literally won Junior Olympics that year. I think it was 2023. And I dropped my time so much in it, and it really did help me start getting noticed by multiple schools because it was like, okay, although her 400 isn't as strong as it could be, she does have a pretty strong 800, so like there's room to work with there. And I think when I've hit a plateau, like you always have to keep in your mind that there is room for more, especially with track. Like it is a little late to pick up events, but people can still do it. And I think you just have to know in your mind that if there's a plan for you, that it will come to pass.
Certainly. I think, one question I did want to ask you is like, been here a couple years, and finishing year 2, right? And have a couple years left to go. Like, what do you want to see accomplished over the course of that time? Because you just mentioned like having a plan and then having that will to win, right? That desire, which to me, it sounds like you have both. Like within that plan for the next couple of years, what do you see happening over your career?
I definitely see myself being a national contender, like going to nationals, dropping my time down a lot. From the year I came here, in the 800 specifically, I was running like 210s, probably even a 211. And last year I was able to drop down to a 205, which is great. And I want to keep that same trend up as long as I can. Like I tell my coaches all the time, my goal is to continue dropping to what I need to get to just be able to compete, especially when it comes to those bigger meets like Big 12s, regionals, nationals. Like my goal in mind is to be able to compete there, and then not just competing to run, but competing to win. And those are my goals definitely for this year and then every year following. And not only that, but also being consistent in my times. It's easy to say like, oh, you ran a time once, but it's different for you to say that you've been able to be consistent in that time. So that's also what I want, just consistency. And I think standing up for myself and also for like mental health. And I think it's really good to just talk to your coaches, be very open with them. And that's still something that I'm working on, just kind of talking to them and telling them where I'm at, even if that's mentally or physically, just so I can do whatever I need to do to be the best for my performance.
I know that mental health, especially in sports, has become an increasing point of topic.
Yeah.
Like, what has your journey been in discovering that you'd like to be more transparent and working through those steps to be able to be outward and to speak with them?
Yeah. I think it starts with realizing that track is really a mental sport. Even in athletics all around, it really is a mental sport. I can't remember who said it, but just watching track in a couple videos a couple years back, someone said that your mental part of it is 90% of it, and then physical is 10%. Because if you're not there mentally, you're just not going to perform how you're supposed to. And I totally agree with that. Like, even if it's just things that you do for yourself, just a day to get out, or just realizing that you're not just an athlete is really important. Because a lot of people forget that we're more than athletes, because we're out here every day putting it in the work, but at the end of the day, you're still a person.
Right.
You can't just come to practice and be a robot. So that's something I've had to realize too, and just be like, okay, I'm still a person. I still go to school. I still want to go out and have fun with my friends.
Right.
So that's what I've realized over the years.
Okay, that's good. That's good. What are some of the pieces to your identity of who Taylor Brown is that folks out there wouldn't maybe be able to see?
That's a really good question. I think people don't necessarily see, I guess, of course, not the track side of it, but I would say how I am with my faith, how I am with my family, and what are the things I do for myself. Like, I really love skincare. I love skincare. Before a meet, I'm always going to do a face mask.
Okay.
I love to draw. I actually am pretty good at it.
Okay.
I can paint pretty good. Let me see. I like plants. I love animals. Outside of this, a lot of people may not be knowing that I'm pursuing a biological degree.
Okay.
I either want to be in the medical field some types of way, some hands-on thing. I've been looking at being a PA or actually pursuing medical school.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Other than that, I really love animals. Like, I love animals so much. I have a little cat at home, and she's like my pride and joy, even though she's terrible sometimes. I think she's like a teenager right now, but yeah, those are some things about me.
Okay. Yeah. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if this is going to sound dumb, but I would be like an alpaca.
Wow. All right now.
I just think they're so cute. Or I would be a squirrel. I really love squirrels.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. I mean, squirrels are kind of fast, you know, I guess that works.
I love them. They're just so stinking cute.
Can you climb trees or?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No, I can't.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Taylor, what do you place your faith in? Because that's something that we've mentioned a few times, and you just brought it up right there, like having that faith and kind of a driving force to everything that you do in your daily life. Like, where does your faith come from, and you know, what is it placed in?
Yeah, I grew up in the church. Like, my mom really made sure of that.
Okay.
And I remember talking about this with my parents and with some of my family too, but I feel like, yes, that foundation is there, but you really develop a relationship with Christ when you pursue it for yourself. And I think especially coming off to college and just kind of like my senior year of high school, I was just talking to myself, talking to God, and like, it's like, okay, God, really putting everything in your hands. Like, what would you want me to do? Even when getting recruited, I'm like, okay, what school am I going to go to? This and that. And I'm just talking to God, and I'm just like, God, I really just am giving this all to you. And I think that's really the truth right there, just kind of surrendering everything to God.
Yeah.
And kind of just letting him guide you, because he already knows. He has been at the start of it to the finish of it. Like, he's the beginning and the end. So he's going to know every place that he puts you in life, you're there for a reason.
That's
and
right.
He's going to know whether or not you can get out of it. And he's always going to give you the steps to get out of it. So I just think, kind of to answer your question, like, where I have been in my faith is just learning who God is, knowing God for God, knowing his place in my life, and just kind of like my own personal relationship with him outside of like where I grew up in the church. And like I was saying, that's a great foundation, but learning God for yourself really helps you understand how he has a hand on your life.
Why do you think, because I think it's no surprise to say that faith has become more of a talking point for athletes in the mainstream. More interviews, more podcasts, more clips, more verses out there in bios and things. Like, why do you think it's, I don't want to say easier, because, walking with Christ is quite difficult, actually, but why is it something that athletically people find themselves working towards, even if they don't necessarily grow up in the church? It's like, now I don't know where to turn, so I'm looking for something, and I find that ability to place my hope and my belief in Jesus. Like, why in sports is that happening right now?
I think a lot of times in sports, people hit some sort of a breaking point, and it kind of just feels like no one's really there. Like, you can talk to people, but sometimes it doesn't feel like they're truly understanding. You have, for example, a bad race, a bad game, but sometimes no one really understands that feeling. But the only person that's going to understand it is God. And I feel like that's why a lot of people look towards God, because they're just like coming to them at a breaking point, coming to God at your lowest, and just really giving it all to him. And I do feel like people do find, I find comfort in God, and just knowing that whether I have a good day or a bad one, he's going to be there either way. So that's how I feel like it has been impacted with athletics.
Sure. In 2026, like, is there anything that you're not looking for, but is there anything that you would like to learn about the character of God throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, I've been reading John lately, and I feel like that does talk about God a lot. And I feel like the biggest thing I can do with our relationship this year is consistency. So that's whether just giving time to him, whether that be worship, whether that be reading my Bible, journaling, just talking to him throughout the day. And that's another thing, like, a lot of people feel like they need to have a set time of when they should talk to God. But I kind of want this year to be like, okay, it's not a set time when you can worship him, you could praise him. Like, I could be at a track meet just warming up, just talking to him. And I feel like if I make that more consistent and just do it more, I could really see an impact in my performance and like my mental health.
Have you ever given any thought to why Paul, many times in Scripture, I say many, at least I can point to probably three times where he speaks on the fact that walking with Christ is similar to running a race. Like, where do you think that comparison ties in, being that you've made a career out of running races, right? I feel like you're equipped to answer that.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, on top of why that comparison makes sense, like, where do you see that being true in your walk, that it's similar to running a race?
Yeah. Every time I've seen the Bible mention something like comparative to a race, it's so true. Because honestly, as short as track may seem, like 100 meters, like 11 seconds.
Sure.
And in real time, people are like, oh yeah, it's just 11 seconds. But like in the track world, that's a long time. And I feel like when you're running your race, you're kind of taking it for the long run. Like, especially in the 800, you're going to have some back and forth. You may be back in the pack, but you still have a chance to get back up. And that's what I think Paul mentions, and that's what I think the Bible talks about, is just getting back up. And, like, not running your race for it to be, this is just your short race, you only have one chance, but making it the long run and making it so, for example, we're not just focused on the meets to prepare us, but we're focused on the meets that matter.
Taylor Brown, thank you so much for being on the Rec Room with Brian Rector. Y'all, this has been episode 48 of the Rec Room. Appreciate you checking us out. Appreciate you tuning in to Taylor's story. And we're excited to keep bringing stories from the vault and around Arizona State with the Rec Room. Taylor, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.